item, I do want to just address our principal designees here. Mr. DeMarco, could you be our parent designee today?
Yes.
The liaison. All right, first item is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes, additions to today's agenda?
I would like to add under unfinished business, to hear from Mr. Whitehead on the, regarding the Governor DeSantis letter that we discussed at a board meeting in July.
Okay. All right, any other additions?
I move to approve the agenda with the addition of the Governor DeSantis letter report to Mr. Whitehead on unfinished business.
Second.
All right, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. Consent agenda, meeting minutes 8/6/19, 8/8/19. Any changes to those minutes? Yeah, well done.
No, I do not.
No changes, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes of 8/6 and 8/8.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. Mr. Whitehead, did you have any report today? Actually, no, what I do need, do you have an update on the enrollment number for the board today?
The number that I had as of yesterday, it was 892. Now that has possibly changed overnight, so I don't have this morning's number.
Okay.
I can
No,
actually
good.
go in a meeting and get a current one if it's needed.
No.
We're approaching the 900, very close to the 900 mark.
Okay.
Do we have a goal as a final number?
There wasn't, to my knowledge, an established set goal prior to this year, but it was understood that we would be very comfortable if we were in the 900s. Low to mid 900 was a number that we can accommodate with the space that we have, the resources we have.
Okay.
So we're still within that range, and we have room to grow some more.
Okay.
And there are people on the wait list who are now being contacted, and some are accepting the opportunity to come in. So this could change over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. And is that wait list number still like around 500?
Don't know the final on that.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, the next item is the prospective board member. This was discussed at the last meeting to come before the board for a final vote and approval. Is there a motion to approve Conrad Wilkham to the board?
I move to approve the Conrad Wilkham to the board.
Second.
Is there any other discussion, questions?
No.
All right, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Now you're officially a voting member today.
I need to get you guys a bigger table.
Yes. We'll need a bigger. All right, welcome aboard. Just to update everybody, Mr. Wilcom will be conducting some training through the Florida Consortium of Public Charter Schools. It's a 4-hour training that is required by the state. It does cover, again, sunshine laws. I know you've also been working on some stuff. I don't know if you want to share just additional training you're working on just on your own.
I'm about halfway completed with the 8-hour continuing legal education on sunshine law. So I'm trying to freshen up when I heard that, just to make sure I know all the rules in and out. So, but I'm happy to do any additional training that's necessary.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And I just wanted to clarify, I remember when I came on board in December, although, yes, we approved Conrad coming on board, I don't think we can vote today.
Oh, yes, I think you're right. Yep. You're right. So, yep.
Thank you.
I know we need to get a copy of Dr. Carpenter's training to Mr. Wilkham. So,
Do you have the binder?
I don't.
Do you have the binder?
I have the binder,
Okay, so
yeah.
if we want to get that to Conrad to review, that'd be great.
Okay,
Mr.
Great.
Wilkham.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is the Mr. Bolduc's item. Mr. Whitehead was supposed to have an update on the governor letter.
I do. So after the meeting, I think it was on the 2nd of July, I reached out to the point of contact person who had put their name on the petition and forwarded that to the governor's office, Mrs. Caswell. I sent an email requesting just some information about validation of signatures as far as, MCA parent members versus non-MCA parent members. Also, the main thrust of the email I sent was expressing my concern over if there was any knowledge anyone specifically had of an abuse that took place that the school should have knowledge of. It needed to be revealed and disclosed so it can be properly reported to DCF, because there was references to abuse allegations in the petition that was sent to the governor's office.
Right, yeah, just if you don't mind, I'll just read
Go ahead.
the exact wording of it. It says, certain actions taken by the board will cause significant irreversible damage to our children. So, in our mind, if there's accusations or allegations of significant irreversible damage to children, that's something that the board wants to make sure that, are there any out there, and if so, we need to address it right away.
Correct, and also under the Florida law, we are what's called mandatory reporters of that information. So if we become aware of an abusive situation, we are required by law to report it to the Department of Children and Family Services.
Mm-hmm.
So my inquiry was basically to see if there's something specific that should be revealed so we can actually engage in the reporting process. So I did receive one communication back that the letter was received and was being forwarded to whoever the legal counsel is that is representing the point of contact person. I have not heard anything since, so I have no more information that I can provide to DCF at all in the event that there is something that someone has knowledge of. They're not revealing it, so I can't engage in the reporting process.
Right. So essentially, you reached out in early July, and they said yes, I forwarded it off to an attorney
Yes.
that they're dealing with, and since that, and you haven't received a response back to any specific allegations in over a month, correct?
Nothing.
Okay.
So we can assume that that allegation is false at this point, or?
Well, there's only two things it's either one, a fabricated commentary to give an impression, or someone does have knowledge of something abusive that took place, but they're refusing to reveal it, which is tragic, because if there's something that needs to be reported, then we need to know so we can report it. So it's got to be one or the other. It can't be, it's
Right.
one or the other.
Right.
Weren't there two official members of government that signed that letter? One was the charter liaison, and one was of the FDOE. Is that correct? Was that the
I
same
asked
person?
him, he said it wasn't him, so either,
So-
That name
Exact
was actually
same name?
misspelled.
yeah, so it could have been,
How unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
And I don't know about the chart liaison. There's a name that matches, but I don't know if that's that person or not.
okay, well, I mean, if there was someone from CCPS that signed that letter saying that they were apparently aware of abuse, then they also have a mandatory reporting
Yes.
duty.
Yes, that's correct.
So should we pursue this further?
My opinion is that there are specific standards to to derail a charter school, and they know they didn't have any of the specific standards, so they have this blanket coverall standard they throw out there, and they use that because they knew they didn't have any real basis, and that's more of, I will leave it up to people's discretion, but I don't want to discard complaints, I want to follow up with them, but based on the fact that we have followed up and there's no response and there has been no specifics, it appears to be a smear campaign time.
And also in mediation, nothing ever came up with any width of that kind of allegation, so.
I was going to say, I'd like to see two follow-up items. One, contact that charter liaison person and say, are you a signatory to this letter? Can you please confirm whether you are or not a signatory to this letter? And two, follow up with your main point of contact on the first email and say, we haven't heard back from you from over a month. Please provide a response within the next 10 days. Otherwise, we will, view the allegations as false.
reasonable. You don't mind doing that?
No, it's no problem.
Okay.
It really is, look, as far as our interest in the safety of kids at school, if there's someone who knows something took place,
Mhm.
I mean, I take that very seriously because we cannot allow that condition to exist if someone has knowledge of it without addressing it.
Right.
So I think that's, I believe, I appreciate you prioritizing that as something that's very important.
All right.
right, so under new business, consultant charter application, unfortunately, I don't have a scope of work yet from, her name is Jody Perry, was one of the ones Mr. Arnold recommended to us. I did have quite an extensive conversation with her on Friday. She requested several documents, which I have sent to her. She's in the process of reviewing those. Once she's done reviewing those documents, she will let us know if she can assist us with this. So I just wanted to let the board know that it's in the process, just didn't make it happen for today. So I did want to give an update just so you know it's happening. So I'm assuming as soon as I hear from her, we can schedule a meeting to review the scope of work and consulting agreement. So.
And you felt that she was the best choice of the three?
Yes, and here's why I think out of the three he gave us, she was a former Broward County charter liaison, and when she left her role, she actually oversaw 105 charter schools.
Wow.
To be quite honest, I think she knows the charter school laws more than people within our own district, and that's one thing she did comment on. Because Collier County has had a revolving door of charter liaisons, I mean, we've had 4 and 5 years. They are people that are administrators that they shove into this job that really have no concept of the laws, which is a problem. And so she's tough. She's fair. I mean, she said she was also known as a charter school closer. She said those were the schools that weren't performing, and so anyway, she's I think someone we need. So I'll bring that back at a future meeting once we have that.
And just to put that in perspective, Carter County, would they oversee, what, 6 charter schools?
Yes, she had 105.
Pretty impressive.
Very different. So, all right, our next item is the parent liaison. Mrs. Turner did a great job with that last year. So Mrs. Stone is here today. She had reached out to the board earlier in the summer, just offering, you know, any kind of help in some capacity. And I thought, you know what, this would be a great role for Mrs. Stone. The reason why I'm recommending her, and just so it's clear for a parent liaison role, this isn't a grievance role. We are going to be addressing grievance policy, but if people have questions about what happened at a board meeting, they can reach out to Mrs. Stone to get updates, or if there's communication between the board and parents regarding meeting agenda items, that's Mrs. Stone's role. In fact, we'll, if the board approves her today, we would actually add under her a title right now, parent liaison as well on the website, so people do know that that's her role and she'll be at our meetings. So,
Excited to do that if I'm accepted.
all right. Is there a motion to approve Mrs. Stone for our parent liaison?
I make a motion to approve Mrs. Stone for our parent liaison.
I second.
Are there any questions or comments for Mrs. Stone?
No, just thank you for expressing an interest to be the parent liaison.
Should we also put a little announcement on the website?
Yeah. Absolutely. We've got quite a few things to get out there anyway, so yes, that's a great idea. All right, if there are no questions or discussion, all those in favor of Mrs. Stone to be our parent liaison, state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. All right, the next item is our grievance policy in the Google Drive. And Mr. Wilcom will also get you set up with an email and access to the drive, and you know, help you with some of the onboarding with that as well. There is an updated draft. Mr. Arnold also emailed it yesterday. So if you can, you know, pull that up. Mr. Bolduc, I know you spent a lot of time out working with Sean on this, so if you want to take it away, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. You know, I started out with just the first draft, so we didn't have to, you know, essentially have our attorney start from Ward 1, sent that off to Mr. Arnold. He came back with a significant amount of edits and clarifications and made sure we had all the right legal language in there. And then I went back I just had a couple small edits. He asked me to clarify 1 or 2 items, and then the The PDF that is posted for today's meeting is the, what we call, or what he determined was the final draft. He has no other edits, suggested that this should be the version to be posted for today's meeting.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Mr. Boulder, thank you so much for all the work you've done. My questions are about the actual makeup of the committee and where that's addressed. Is that something that will be addressed within the body of policy, or is that a less formal document where you describe who the members are and how they are they on a rotating schedule of participating, or there are a few little procedural things that I think need to be addressed and memorialized, and I'm not sure if that has to happen in the policy or if that needs to just happen in some kind of a loose description that's more malleable over time. But it seems like procedures and how often they meet, if they have a chair, are they a sunshine committee, things like that need to be spelled out. And I think we need to nail that down before we actually interview people or accept applications for that, so that they're clear what they're applying for too. So.
My recommendation would be for it to be within the policy itself. That way it's all right there in one spot. So I know last week we discussed the makeup of it, 2 teachers, 2 parents, and a community member. As far as you mentioned time frame, would it be for the year? Every year we do it.
I looked into other grievance committees, and a lot of them do a rotating, 3-year appointment, so that it's constantly changing a bit, so that there's no perception of bias.
Yeah, when I served as a SAC committee member at Gulfview Middle School, I think it was a 3-year.
3-year, okay, and those are
They're staggered.
So I guess initially we'd have to just say, this is the first year, and then stagger them off as we go forward in other place. So we need to get the verbiage of that nailed down.
Okay. I think Mr. Arnold helps with that.
So if you don't mind, would you mind just sending him an email adding that language in there for the makeup
I
and
have that description of
Oh, great, thanks.
part will help. The rest of it is just notes from what I was looking at online, so I'm not going to help them.
Okay, great.
And then, because if we can get that, I think those are great questions to add in here. That way it's very clear. And then Sean can add that to it. It can come back to the next meeting for final approval.
Great. And then let that Mr. Will come back and chance to review.
Any other questions, changes that you see need to be made to what Mr. Bolduc and Mr. Arnold worked on?
I guess this grievance committee is just for parents and students and not for faculty members or staff members, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there a separate, would that just be handled individually with the human resources?
I mean,
officer?
they have a teacher handbook that they have the HR department, so yes, this would be specifically for parents, students.
Okay.
Any other?
And is it spelled out anywhere that they have to be current? It is spelled out in our original policy that they have to be current parents of current students.
I mean, really, the policies apply to only our current students.
All
So
of them,
if
okay.
they choose to leave the school and not participate in the grievance policy, then it's,
That's a good point.
yeah.
Okay.
So is it somewhat addressed where if a person has a grievance that they feel like they want to be heard on, some sort of statute of limitations with that? In other words, if someone today wants to bring in a grievance about something that they decided they want to object to that took place 3 years ago, will that qualify as a grievance, or would need to be something current, or should that be addressed as laid out in policy?
The version that was approved by Mr. Arnold, as the draft version, it says you have to make a grievance within 30 days of when the actual alleged grievance occurred.
I was reading, so I missed that, so I should not have to write.
Yeah, no, but that's an important point.
Yeah.
That's,
All right, well done. I don't have anything else. So, anybody? this will come back, grievance policy next meeting. We are at board comments. Anyone have any comments for today? Oh, Janet Greer, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I know you said you wanted to talk about grievance policy.
No,
but if our
I
questions-
reread, so
Okay.
I think it got clarified.
Okay.
All right. That's good. Yeah, I had one regarding the committees that we discussed at the last board meeting. Should we be sending out, perhaps early next week, an email to the community saying we've established these committees. If you're interested in any one of them, send a resume or a note of interest to whatever.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it needs to go directly to the board, to another email within Mason, but just, you know, something for, yes, I have an interest in one of these committees, and let's start gathering people who are interested.
Yep, and I will send that out. The reason I haven't yet is just because we need people to get car line nailed down first and foremost. So I don't want to send out too many emails, and so I think next week will be a great opportunity to get that out there and any other announcements.
I do appreciate it, because I need to send yet another one about Carlisle. We have to hand out some maps, because we're finding out there's still quite a number, most people are doing it really well, but there's still a number that are backing some traffic up on Airport Road.
The vast
Not
majority of
violating the
people
route.
are not going around the loop.
Yeah, they gotta go around that loop, we gotta get everybody to do it, and I don't know why all of a sudden this year they're not following the loop when they did it last year. Very well, actually, last year, but for some reason people are doing it, so we're gonna actually hand out maps. Make sure they see that this is where you're supposed to go.
Should we get like a little
Sign.
sign awning, like MCA car line with the straight arrow at that turn?
At that intersection, we actually have some from last year. I still-
Okay.
so.
Had you given any more thought to a staff member that might be interested in being the person who gathers these applications or letters, or do we just do it online?
Yeah, I mean, right now, people have been emailing me, and then it's actually from the email, I can just do it organized to the Google Drive, so it's a couple clicks, and it goes to that folder in the drive under governance. It's got all the resumes and letters of interest in there, so it makes it actually quite easy to put it all in one spot.
And are we still going to put together a list of questions for each applicant for them to complete an
Yeah,
application?
so that needs to be started, so we can get that process going.
All right.
Did one of us want to take the
Well, I
lead on
think you were
that?
gonna start it.
I'll start it.
Start
Sorry, I
it.
got sidetracked on that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Well, I think that's good, you know, and we first start, you know, see who's actually interested, then we send them the follow-up question, saying, you know, when you come in for an interview or whatever, would you please answer the question?
I felt like before we reached out to a community member, it'd be important to have all our I's dotted and T's crossed
Mhm.
with regard to what our policy is and something that they address and catch John Retail.
Right.
How many times they should be meeting, their expectation, the amount of time it would take to serve,
Mhm.
and those kinds of things.
Okay, great.
do you have any other comments, or?
I mean, I know when we expanded the scope of work of the Coleman firm, and, you know, the board have you as the you know, main point of contact between the board and the Coleman firm. Are there any updates on, you know, them working more as a advocate on our behalf before, you know, I guess all of the items are finalized and settled from the settlement agreement?
So I had a call yesterday from Sarah Oquendo. She's in Coleman's office, and right now they're focused on doing these interviews. I mentioned at the last meeting, Mr. Hall is interviewed, and then they're going to be doing a series of interviews to essentially do a counterpoint to the Fishbane report,
Mhm.
which I think will be critical moving forward, and to get that document done. So that's what they're focused on right now. I have expressed still some concerns that I feel need to be addressed, which include still things with CCTS and Hillsdale.
Mhm.
So I haven't actually had a conversation yet to address those concerns, so.
Okay.
But I'm hoping, I know they were tied up with mediations and other things this week, so, but hopefully I'll have a update for you all.
All right, thank you.
Has there been any communication from Hillsdale since that last letter came through?
No, I had a call briefly with Sean Arnold yesterday and asked if he had heard from them, and he said no, which was actually kind of surprising, but, so he has not, Pullman's firm has not, so that's what it is. I did, just to give an update, I know last meeting you talked about looking at other firms. I did have a conversation with an outside firm. I don't have anything concrete yet to bring forward, but hopefully by next meeting, just see how that discussion continues to play out. So it's just kind of in the early stages, but
That's someone outside.
outside of Collier, yeah, they're like far away.
Well, just that you're saying in Miami there's 110 versus 6 here, I'm sure there's probably in other areas there might be more breadth of attorneys that are actually familiar with these issues and know how to properly defend us rather than having to spend a lot of money to get them up to speed on how all the laws work.
Right, yeah, they're in Tallahassee,
Okay.
so. Yeah, that's a good question too for her, so. Do you have any comments today?
No.
Mr. Wilcom? Anything?
I just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to this. As always, I think this is a great school, so I'm hoping we can make it just a little bit better, but I think we're on the great track, so thank you.
Great, thank you. The only thing I wanted to address was an issue that came up at the last meeting. Some parents raised some concerns about a video recording of last meeting. So just so everyone's clear about the law, you're allowed to videotape, record these meetings. However, you're not to be recording other members who are in this room. This is private property. So unless you have their consent, it's actually illegal to videotape people. It's illegal to videotape the board members prior to meetings, after meetings, without our consent. I do know that, and I've shared the videos that are posted online. The attorney had reviewed it. He said it is illegal. So I hope in the future these videotapes of the board meetings are strictly at the start of the meeting. When the meeting adjourns, the recordings are shut off, and you're not filming members who are here to come to a meeting. I think those are intimidating tactics, and these parents felt very uncomfortable being filmed. So I ask that people follow the laws when it comes to that.
I would just like to add that, to me, it wasn't any kind of accidental thing, maybe push the button a little too early and push the button a little too late after the meeting. It was a total of 10 minutes before and after the meeting. So this wasn't, an accidental thing of, start a little early and end it a little late.
The other thing some parents have also brought to my attention, just some concerns, and I'm going to be very outspoken about it still. There were some parents who scared away families that love this school, great families who no longer attend MCA through the attacks against the school, the spreading of misinformation, and the concerns are that the families who did a lot of that damage are still sending their kids to Mason, but yet many of these families who were scared and left for really false pretenses. So it's sad that this continues. People are getting very tired of it, and in order to move forward, I continue to ask at every meeting to please stop, and it still hasn't stopped. So I'll say it at every meeting until it does, I guess, or until the grievance committee is up and running and they can address these concerns. So I don't have anything else, so.
I just had one item, Mrs. Miller, if you wouldn't mind sending me a Word version of this.